If it hasn't been done before, you can be the first. And that is the quote of the day. Welcome back to the Quote of the Day show. I'm your host, Sean Croxton of SeanCroxton.com. Today's featured speaker is Mr. Bob Proctor. Bobby P is back in. I modified the quote a little bit here. He doesn't say it exactly the way that I said it in the beginning of the show, so I hope you don't mind. But I really want you to hear this because, so often we'll think that since something hasn't been done before, then it must be impossible. But it's not impossible. Just think that if it hasn't been done before, then you can be the first to do it. Somebody has to be the first. Why not you? And so I hope you enjoy this. Here's Bob Proctor.
Many years ago, I made a sales call in Chicago when I first started to do seminars in the United States on a gentleman named Mel Haycraft. Mel Haycraft was the vice president of sales to the Prudential Insurance Company in their Mid-America region. Now, I did not know it at the time, but the Prudential Insurance Company was the #1 company in the world, and the Mid-America region was the #1 region in the Prudential Insurance Company out of 10 different regions. So needless to say, I was talking to a heavyweight when it comes to business. I was only in his office a few minutes, and Mel said, "Well, Bob, what is it?" And I said, "Mel, I've got a seminar that'll just get your sales flying." And I'll never forget the smile that had come on his face. And he looked at me, and he pushed his chair back from the desk, and he opened a drawer, and he took a file folder out, and he spun these brochures across the desk. "Did you see all those brochures?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "All those people said the same thing." I said, "Is that right?" I said, "Well, we're different." We was me at the time. But if you're alone in business, you never refer to me, you see. So at any rate, I said, we are different. See, I had a brochure made up that made it look like we operated on the entire 12th floor of the Hancock Center, I thought. But at any rate, he looked at me and smiled, and he said, "How are you different?" And I said, "We get results." He said, "They all said the same thing." Now, I knew that I wasn't making any headway. You're in sales, when you get to a point like that, you either have to dance or hit the exit. And I wasn't about to leave. I had a hard time getting in to see this man. As a matter of fact, an associate of mine had phoned him every Monday for a year. We couldn't get in to see him. One Monday he was sick. Mel phoned him to ask what was wrong. And that's how we broke down his door. But at any rate, I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do. You give me 100 of your best people. Don't give me the worst, give me the best." I said, "Anyone can do something with the worst. Just give me the best." And I said, "We will do a seminar. Won't cost you a dime. We'll give you the material, give you the seminar." And I said, "Let them be the judge of whether this will help them in their sales." He said, "You got a deal." So we did that seminar. I run into a chap in Detroit here just a little while ago, Carl Walker, that was in that group of people. I remember Carl sitting in the back row. I'll never forget Carl. And about halfway through the seminar, he kept getting up and down and up and down and up and down. The guy was getting so excited he couldn't stay in the seminar. He had to go out and sell somebody. But at any rate, that's a true story. Carl's over in Detroit, and Carl, you'll be watching this. You'll remember as well as I do. We laugh about it every time I see him. But at any rate, we passed the test. I found myself in front of 450 of their district insurance agents at the Hillside Holiday Inn in Chicago. When I was talking to them for a very short period of time, I suggested that anyone in that room could go out and write $5 million worth of business. Now, when I mentioned that, you could just feel, wham, the minds go closed. I'd lost the entire group. Now, you see, what we were doing and what was different, we were introducing this element right here to their sales, to the psyche of their salespeople, to their sales presentation, to their belief system. They had never had that mixed in with their training before. This chap come up to me at the first break. He says, "Proctor," he said, "did you ever sell insurance?" And I said, "No, I never have." He said, "I didn't think so." I said, "Why are you saying that?" He said, "You don't know what you're talking about." Oh, I said, "Now, hold on a second. I didn't say I didn't know what I was talking about. I just said I've never sold insurance." I said, "I don't know any more about insurance than the doorman or the salad chef in here." I said, "I'm operating on the premise you already know how to write $5 million worth of business." He looked at me, he said, "Well, wait just a minute." He said, "You know this company is 100 years old?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd heard that." He said, "You know there's 20,000 agents in this company?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd heard that." Well, he said, did you hear that we've never had one write $5 million worth of business? Well, I said, then you can be the first. Yeah. Now, this was around the end of August. He said, you said this year. I said, that's right. He said, the year's over half gone. Well, I said, then it won't take as long to do it. Now, I said, Don, if you can see yourself as a $5 million producer, you heard what Paul Hutsey did with this idea, and you get emotionally involved with that idea, you turn it over, that part of you that's unseen, it's non-physical, but it's in every part of your being, I guarantee you, you'll act differently, and what you attract to you will be quite different. And I said, you'll do it. Now, that's a magazine that company prints, or printed. That's a picture of the man I was talking to. His name's Don Slovan. And that's a write-up about our conversation. The second week in December, Don Slovan had paid for $5,200,000 worth of business. He closed the year with a little better than $6 million worth of business. And the strange part about this is, when he crossed that imaginary line, there was a whole string of people following him. See, every person, everywhere in history, that got the image of what they wanted, they burned that image into their mind. They refused to accept circumstances. Every one of them have accomplished what they've imaged. For years, people had tried to run a mile in 4 minutes. I mean, thousands of years. Do you know the early Egyptians used to turn a lion loose and let it chase a person hoping they'd run a mile in 4 minutes? But they couldn't do it. The experts said it couldn't be done. They said our cardiovascular system wasn't proper for it. They said our muscles weren't right. The bone structure wasn't right. But in the spring of 1954, a young guy named Roger Bannister quit believing in the experts, started to believe in Roger Bannister, and he ran a mile in under 4 minutes. Within a month, other people were running a 4-minute mile. We had a young guy in this company down in Louisiana. As a matter of fact, he worked for Paul Hutsey. That wrote $5 million in a week, and he previously hadn't written 3 in a year. Now, why am I mentioning these things? Well, I mention them because you could all tell a story like this about yourself.